Yo, and welcome to the football pull up. It's myself, King Jones. We got the Podfather in the house. We got Joe in the house. We got a very special guest in Harry, the lifelong Watford fan. Let's make some noise for Harry coming here today. Making some noise, guys.
Thank you for having me, boys.
Yeah, no problem. Before we even start anything happening, I need you guys to make sure you like and share and subscribe. We are taking precious seconds out of our life to give you this free, amazing content. Like, there's so many other things we could be doing, but we choose to be here with you guys. So, the likes, the comments, even the stuff you don't like about the show is all appreciated, because it matters to us that you guys listen. So, yeah, let's talk about the most important thing I've heard today. Elon Musk buying Man United. He joked around saying that he'd buy Man United, and obviously Man United fans, being who they are, got excited and thought that the money was going to come in. But he came out afterwards and said, "Are you joking? I'd never buy a sports team." So, has anyone got any? Yeah.
This is the funny thing. These things start like jokes, and then that's how it was with Twitter. The guys, I'm gonna buy Twitter, a joke. Yeah, but next thing the guy is he's dropping it, man. Yeah, I mean, so who knows? Who knows?
So obviously staying on Man United, because there's been so much news with Man United, obviously since their 4-0 loss to Brentford. Talking about their major signings. I don't know if you guys saw on Monday, Gary Neville's been going on about United, about getting rid of the Glazers. He's actually spoke about the major signings they've made since 2014. I'm actually going to start with you, Harry. He said since 2014, they've only made 2 green signings. So he's put a category of green, of good signings, amber, decent signings, and red, terrible signings. And the only 2 good signings he said Man United have made since 2014 or 2013 is Ibrahimovic and Bruno Fernandes. Do you feel that's true? Do you think they've made any more good signings?
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of too many Man United players that have come in and had such a big impact. I think Ibrahimovic was fantastic for them. He really was. He was finally a world-class striker at Man United for the first time in a while. I think Fernandes is really pushing his luck with that green status at the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
He's not playing well, and
his attitude sucks.
It's awful. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got relegated after they lost 4-1 to us. And in the background, like, they've gone up at the end of their game, and he's like telling the fans to, like, no, don't boo at him, don't boo at him. Like, it's our fault. It's like, bro, it's all well and good doing that at the end of their game, but you've not put the effort in the first place. Like, you were at fault for the penalty in the first place because you're playing a ridiculous pass across your own, like, 20 yards out. Like, it's just a ridiculous attempt to, like, it's just panic. And, like, you've got to show what you're doing on the pitch. Like, don't start having a go, like, indicating to fans that it's their fault. Like, it is your fault that these managers are getting sacked at the end of the day. And the fact that Mourinho has had them, Van Gaal has had them, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had them, and now you've got Ten Hag, and they're still not performing.
Yeah,
that's not managers, man. That's players, and that's attitude, and it stinks.
So to go to you, Joe, just to ask, I'm very interested more than the red list or the green list. I'm actually interested in the amber list. So these are some of the players that Gary Neville personally think have done okay since they've been at United. So I just want you to talk about that list just a bit more. So I'll just name a couple of them. So he's put Herrera there, he's put Luke Shaw there, he's put Nemanja Matic there, he's put Fred there, he's put Harry Maguire there, he's put Cavani there, and he's put Ronaldo there in amber. Do you agree with that amber list? Do you think Man United give protection to certain players? Or do you think those players are warranted to be there?
Yeah, I don't. I think that's quite biased for Ronaldo. Last season he did really well. Obviously, he scored all the goals, but making the list recently this season, I don't think it's paid off that well. I think the only thing he's done is what he did last season. I don't think it's paying off now. I think his attitude sucked last season as well. So again, I don't think that's a great sign to have in. Though it's Ronaldo, anyone would have snatched him, but like we've discussed before, it's not worked. Herrera's not really done anything to be good or bad. Luke Shaw, I think Luke Shaw is fine. I don't think he's outstanding. Yeah. But again, ain't done anything, has he? Like, he's not done anything too bad. He also came back from a massive leg break. and he was phenomenal for England in the thingies we just had, Euros. So it's tough. It's tough. But we had a little discussion about this before, didn't we, about the red and amber and green list.
Yeah,
we could go on about this
we
one.
could, yeah.
I think there's recruitments in there which shouldn't be in the red, but I mean the amber list is a bit it's protected.
Harry Maguire,
awful, but that's not his fault. Yeah. That's not his fault, is it? You can't buy someone for 80 mil and then say, right, now you've got to be a player that you're not. He was never that player.
Yeah.
So for me, red.
So just to ask you, Banj, and actually I'll make a quick comment on that. It's a weird one when it comes to recruitment, because some players will get one season and then they get forked out the club, and then that will be seen as a bad signing. And then, like Depay, who went on to be a very good player, and they'll look at that as a bad recruitment when, if you maybe gave him more time, he could have been better. And there's certain players like Harry Maguire, which have probably given too much time when they really should have got rid of them earlier than later, so it's weird who gets time and who doesn't. But to ask you, Banj, about recruitment, so you speak a lot about recruitment. We talk a lot about wages and transfer fees. When you look at the green, amber list and all these lists, not to talk about the players on it, what goes into good recruitment? How important is wages, transfer, performance? How do you weigh it up to say this is good recruitment, this is bad recruitment? And is selling the player and what they do towards the end of when they leave, is that important onto as well? So if you buy someone like Hazard, for example, selling it for 100+ million, does that add to good recruitment? Explain more about that.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, that's where the director of football comes in. That's where I have a lot of sympathy with what Gary Neville says when he complains about the Glazers. Like, all that starts from the top. Like, if you have a hierarchy, it doesn't matter where it is. You think the players are a good group of guys, they're gonna run riot. If the manager and the club don't have like a structure, we've seen it all the time. Like, players, stuff goes to their head, and before you know it, they start thinking they're the manager of the club, or they should decide the tactics. And they can get any manager sacked at any time or wherever. But a lot of that stands from the club, because it's the club that builds that culture and that whole thing and an atmosphere. Now, when it comes to the scouting, you have to go back to teams that have done it very well in the past. I mean, United, perfect example. Like on the Fergie, he used to. They'll do research on your dad, your mom. Yeah, I mean, before they even hire you, like. Physically, how is this guy going to develop? Is he going to develop injuries later in life? He'll go and have dinner with them, see their family life, see if they're settled. He prefers guys that are in relationships, about to get married, so you're not going out partying. It goes in deeper than just what's on the football pitch. You want the character of the person. Like the same players, they have bad attitudes. So that if things go wrong, these are not guys that you can rely on.
Give me an example of a bad attitude player. Maybe a good player on the pitch, but bad attitude. Someone
like Depay now, you can't sign him and be upset that he's flashy. Pogba. Yeah, like you saw that. You saw that before you signed him. Yeah, the Instagram dancing, doing this and whatever. Yeah, that's part of the personality. That's what comes with them. And yet you have guys who are like ultimate professionals, like James Milner, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't go out. Yeah,
or in James.
That's you're bringing to the squad. You're bringing that ultimate professional. Yeah. David Beckham going to stay back in training, free kicks, going to work extra hard, all that sort of stuff. So it depends on what you're trying to introduce to the squad. You want to introduce harmony and some sort of leadership. You want to bring somebody who doesn't mind taking young players on the wing, doesn't see them as a threat. Like some people, you get them in the team, they look at the young boys as a threat. Oh, this guy should come and try and take my position. I'm not going to even talk to him or help him out or whatever. Another guy may look and think, you know what, we're all in this together. I'm a team guy. Like Henderson or whatever. It's like, listen, even if you're playing ahead of me, I'm going to give you tips on how to do your job better. I'm going to say, move like this in training, encourage guys, whatever. So a lot of that goes into it. But more specifically, you have to know what the points are. So if I sign a young player with potential, he needs at least 3-4 seasons. Yeah, I mean that's just facts. Like young players have up and down.
You mean like Sancho, or do you mean like Diallo? Are you talking about Diallo who came in, didn't we play with Sancho?
If you're investing with 21, I don't care how good he is. At 21, 20, if you're investing with guys, they need at least 3, maybe even 4 years to really hit their peak.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think if you sign a 21-year-old, you shouldn't expect excellence because they're too young to show that. And part of being young is inconsistency. So I do agree with that.
Already excellent, because you can reach 2021 and all of a sudden just hit a roadblock and then your form just starts going a bit haywire. It happens all the time.
So to go on, actually, I want to speak a bit about Watford because we've got a Watford fan here. I just want to talk a bit about last season because I thought if you look through your squad, you there's a reason why a lot of Watford players are actually wanted up for grabs. You know, Sissoko, Emmanuel Dennis, Sarr. What exactly went wrong? Because Watford actually have quite a good 11. They have some players that should be in the Premiership, quite a few quality players. Yeah. So what do you think exactly went wrong this time last year in the Premiership?
I think you touched on it about 5 minutes ago. Harmony. It seemed like everyone in a Watford shirt last season, I'll be honest, it seemed like they were playing for themselves. It was a demonstration of, this is what I can do. It's on the team. I don't care about the team. Doesn't matter if we win. It means I've scored 2 goals. If we've lost 5-2, you're getting relegated. It don't mean nothing. Like, your 2 goals, I would rather a player score a goal a game, but it'd be the only goal of the game, rather than score 2 and lose 5-2 or 5-3. Like, it was just really bad. Like, the attitude of our players stink. Like,
Harry, I was going to say, did you have a lot of loan players last season?
Not really, but we've got this really weird idea of what, like, the last couple of times we've come up, and when I don't know if we're struggling financially at times or what, or whether we're just looking to try and find like a cheap buy. We'll go and get some 30-plus-year-old on a free transfer or a loan. We did it with Kuchka last year. And it's just this weird midfield position where we seem to not want to try and get someone to come in and be bad at it or be inconsistent at it for a while. We sit there and want to go, we want an old head that will teach us something. You're like, but the players we're bringing in are not ex-Premier League players either. So they're not coming in having known the division. I think Kuchka came in from Parma.
Yeah, the reason I ask is that we played Udinese in pre-season, and I just wonder, like, 7 Watford players.
Yeah, there would have been. Yeah, So we've got
everybody.
We've got they're our sister company. So the guy that owns us, his dad owns Udinese. So it's quite an easy way of moving players on. So they want to play in a top league, but they're not going to play it in Watford. They quite like the way that Watford is run. Udinese is run pretty similarly. So you can go to Italy, and it's.
Isn't that where Gerard Deulofeu and Pereira went when you got relegated?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, indeed. That's Messina's there now as well. There's left back Marvin Ziegler. He was ex-Watford. Isaac Success is there because no one would take him anywhere else. But it's weird though. Although watching Isaac Success seems to be doing reasonably well out in Italy, from what I can gather. So maybe it was just the fact that we couldn't ever keep him fit, and never really gave him a run. But he was someone we backed and put a lot of money into, and it never really came off.
Do you think that system helps you guys? Yeah, I mean the link up with.
It can do. I'll be honest. There's been hits and there's been some misses. But probably some. It got us almost like the first season we were under the Pozzos under Gianfranco Zola. Yeah, it was fantastic. We got the entire championship hated us. It was great. We got about 11 players in on loan, with about 4 days left to go with the transfer window. All from Udinese, and they all pretty much went straight into the first team with a mixture of some of the Watford players in there. And we finished 3rd in the league. We did brilliantly, and then. In about January, a loophole, which is what we did, which was you can't take too many players from a certain club. So in the UK, so for instance, Banj, we couldn't take more than 2 players from Chelsea on loan. But there's nothing to say you can't take as many players as you want out of Europe. So we brought in like 12, 13 players from Udinese, and then they closed that loophole. In about January, and we voted for it. We were like, no, you're quite right. We wanted to sign them all permanently, but just didn't have the time to get it through because we got taken over so late in the transfer window. And we made, I think, probably about 3/4 of the players that came in permanent transfers, and they were in our team when we got promoted eventually a couple of years later. But yeah, it's difficult. With us getting relegated, Udinese then become the top team. They become, in theory, the Pozzo's main source of income because they're in the top flight in Italy. Whereas the moment we get promoted, because the Premier League is so big, we immediately become their top team. Yeah. And I think Watford fans don't mind the association with Udinese. I'm not sure if it's the same the other way around.
Yeah. so to ask, I really want to know this from a point of view, because I'm an outsider, and I'm pretty sure that Joe and Banjo are outsiders in this topic. How good of a player? Because I've watched him, and we remember his goals against Liverpool, and we heard all the things he came in against. In fact, he played against us in Europa. You remember a couple of years ago, Joe Sarr. He was actually very good against us. How good of a player is Sarr, and is it warranted that all the top teams in the Premier League are after him right now?
Yes. He's outstanding, and it is purely pretty much down to two things. He's calm, and he is so unbelievably quick, so fast. And I think one of the managers that got the best out of him was probably Nigel Pearson.
Yeah,
and it was so key, and you knew that. I think Pearson had come into the club and gone, if we're getting out of this, it's going to be because of you. Is going to be predominantly because of Ismaila Sarr. And you heard it when one of the first games I think he took over, we played Bournemouth away and we won 3-0. And you could hear him the moment Sarr got the ball. You could hear him on the mics around the stadium shouting, "Izzy, run, run, go at him." And that's all. If you give him the confidence and you give him the ball, so he can either run onto it or he can take it, and he's got time to run at a defender. He'll go past him 9 times out of 10, and he doesn't even need that much space to get past someone. There was Matt Targett, first game of the last season, tore him apart, absolutely tore him. He was probably 8-9 yards from the byline, and they were neck and neck by the 6-yard box as he was 2 yards ahead of him.
Was his best position then, you say?
I'd say right wing. He is talent. Yeah, if you give him someone that is going to protect him behind. So if you say
a Wan-Bissaka,
if Wan-Bissaka won't protect him. That's the thing though, is for Senegal, Ismaila Sarr does sometimes play at a right wing back because he's got Mane who plays that side of him. So he can be defensive if he needs to, and he has got work ethic. He will work. Yeah. He will really graft for a team.
We're looking for a right wing back, so I'll let the club know that.
Yeah, that's fair, man. If you want to stump up 40 mil, you can have him.
So,
Mate.
Yeah. So to go to you, Joe, we actually were going to go back to Man United before we go on, because I just want to say, so we've been hearing in the last 12, 24 hours, a bit more, Man United have tried to sign everyone. Pulisic, Vardy, Rabiot, Felix, Casemiro, Meunier, Icardi, Dembele, Aubameyang, Morata, Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, Anthony, Dest, Caicedo. Is it Caicedo from Brighton? Are they currently in a crisis, or do you think these are players that they would have been linked with before they lost 4-0 to Brentford?
They're in a panic. Definitely in a panic. They're all most of them are household names. It's sort of like, who's the most popular player right now that we might be able to get the fans back on side? Yeah. I mean, a lot of them. There's a lot of good players on there that you would, if they signed them, you'd think, yes, brilliant. Like Anthony. Anthony's brilliant in the Dutch league. And he's in the Brazilian national squad. That would be a good signing. But trying to get players like that Caicedo, what's his name? Caicedo.
Yeah, Caicedo from Brighton.
I mean that. He's not proven. He's not done anything. That would be a massive gamble. It's not exciting. Aubameyang. I mean, yeah, they need a striker, but is it a panic one? For me, it is massively panicky because they know they need to get him out of Barcelona. So it's not like they're trying to go for the target. If they just had a target list and it was players that was going to be the new spine of the team, you'd think, yeah, okay. But it looks like as they're just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And they're obviously waiting for Ronaldo to jump ship because that's going to happen. They need a marquee signing this window. Otherwise, it's going to be, the fans are going to turn on them and they're going to have a nightmare if the Glazers sell mid-season before the other window opens in January. And then they're going to be stuck with this terrible team that have got no confidence. They're not gelling well together. I think they're just trying to get anyone that's possible to get the fans back on side. It might not work. They might grab 2 or 3 players, but even if they are big names, I don't think it's still going to work. It's still ownership, isn't it? But I think they're just panicking. Yeah. All of it's probably panic. Yeah. at the
I
moment.
agree. I
I
agree.
can see.
I agree. And Podfather, to ask some of the players that I named, would you say sign good players, even if it doesn't necessarily match Ten Hag's philosophy? Because some of the players on there are good names, but a lot of those players do not suit his philosophy or the way he wants to play. Or do you believe that you just ignore who you want to get and you only sign who he wants, like in terms of philosophy?
Yeah, I think you don't have to sign exactly who you want, but you have to sign somebody in the. Like you can't come to me and say you want a Firmino and I can't get you
Nunes.
a Lukaku. Yeah, I mean
Nunes.
that doesn't make any sense. So even if I'm getting you somebody else, it has to be somebody with similar profile. You know, just like when Klopp went into Liverpool and said he wanted to sign Götze and Brand. They didn't go and just give him two totally different players. They only got Salah and Mane. You know what I mean? Who similar in certain ways, but slightly different. Just quick, smallish type players who can play on the wing fast and
More
press.
more goal threats. Yeah.
Yeah, more goal threats. So as long as you do it along those lines, that's fine. But I think for probably 90% of the signings, you have to give him what he wants. Yeah, and if he fails, he fails. You know what I mean? But I think it's way too early to start overriding the manager and just say, oh, yeah, 5 players. Work your magic. Yeah, I mean that's how you got yourself in this trouble in the first place. Yeah, by buying a whole bunch of players that don't fit a system or way of playing, and are cohesive and all that sort of stuff. So no, I would try my best to get the manager, even if I can't see the vision now. If you can't see the vision, you shouldn't have signed him in the first place. Yeah. Like when you're hiring him, I would believe, or I'd like to believe, that part of the interview process was, what are your type of targets? Which kind of players do you think you'd bring in? Da, 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 da. You know what I mean, for the future. So nobody should be surprised now at Man United that these are the players he likes, or these are the players he wants, or this is what he needs, or whatever. I'm sure all of that would have been spoken about in the interview process. Yeah. So for me, get the manager what he wants, and if that fails, then you try and get him the profile, and then if you can't do that, maybe you just wait. We just wait till next year.
So everyone watched the Bournemouth game. I'm taking it, or watched the highlights of the Bournemouth game. So just Bournemouth. I'm going on to the Bournemouth game, yeah. So just to say that Haaland obviously was involved in the least touches in Premier League history, right? Less than Lukaku last season, who everybody slated.
No. Second least.
Yeah. Where they slated Lukaku for the similar thing last season. People are now saying that the way that Man City play and the fact that Haaland's getting on the ball less is going to seriously affect his development. Do you believe that's true, Harry? Or do you believe that he's just going to have to adapt to the way they play?
I don't believe that's true. I think it's really difficult to give any sort of analysis on Haaland because he is already world class and he's 21. Which is disgusting. And you can sit there and say, with the German league, there's only the biggest team he's going to come up against is Bayern Munich, which is huge. The next biggest team, there's quite a drop-off in quality. He's proven in Champions League. He's got just as many goals in Champions League games as he's played matches in the Champions League. It's ridiculous. His talent's unrivaled, I think, to be honest. I would put him above Mbappe, purely because I think his work ethic is better than Mbappe. Okay. I would say he might not score 20 goals this season, but he's playing in a completely different team, in a completely different league, who play a completely different way. He will score 20 next season.
Okay.
I don't doubt it.
And what do you think about it, Joe? About everyone saying it might affect his development, the way that Man City play?
Well, I think Pep's the best manager in the world and has been for years. I don't think he's underdeveloped many players that he's brought in. I think the 2 touches is probably just a blip. Like he's getting like Harry said, he's getting used to a brand new team, brand new league. It's quite hard to also, to analyse him. He's only had 2 games for two games. Is it?
Yeah.
And he's
3 games, including the Charity Shield, but
the Charity Shield. But yeah, he's not the finished product. He's still a young man. But that's what I think everyone keeps forgetting. Not everyone, but I think there's a lot of people that keep forgetting. This man is a young man and he's coming into a team. You wouldn't question this otherwise if it was a 21-year-old. You'd just think, okay, maybe he's struggling to get in the game. But I think Haaland is he's learning. It's gonna be a massive learning curve. And Harry said, 20 goals might not happen this season, but I tell you what, he'll become a better player for it. Like it's easy to sort of be a poacher and sort of get in amongst it and put your foot in, but you might not learn a lot. He might have to come in and get involved in the game more. He might have to, get more involved in the actual, not just the goal scoring side. We've seen him do bits in his career already. So like we know he's going to be a top player, but like I say, I think Pep's going to develop him into a completely different player. I think 3 years time, I think we'll see a completely different player than what he is now. And I think these 2 touches that you brought up and said, like, it won't. I don't think it's going to affect him at all. I don't even think he probably thought about it at all. One was an assist, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So, he's doing what he's getting paid for, getting involved in the game, making goals happen as well. So, yeah.
So going on to a player that everyone's remembers and who epically flopped in the Premier League after such a massive profile. I'm actually going to say the Podfather called that he'd be top level and world class. Is a player that's being shifted off to Napoli on loan for a million fee with 30 million option to buy Ndombele. Where did it not work out? Is that a good move for him? Do you think Napoli will buy them? And do you think that he deserves a second chance at Tottenham? Or do you think he's over? Podfather.
It didn't work out. Yeah, it didn't work out because the manager who signed him sacked him, and then they brought in 2 defensive managers who didn't want to play with a box-to-box, attacking.
Box-to-box guy who stopped running after 10 minutes. Okay.
Who?
And then
he was running when what's his name was there.
Who? And, 10 minutes. He ran for 10 minutes. I watched him one game. He stopped running. After 10 minutes.
He was attacking. He was scored 1 or 2 goals. He was looking all right. Mm-hmm. And then Jose comes in, doesn't play him for I don't think he played him for the first 2-3 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then he goes jogging with him during COVID and so and then halfway through the season, as Jose, listen, we've seen Jose been many a good player, just because they didn't fit the system or the way he wanted to play at the moment. But no doubt, his time has been disappointing. I felt, based on what he had shown at Lyon and just his all-round game and natural ability, I thought he was destined for good things, great things. And he's just one of those kind of players that you'd rather see looking back, you'd rather see a Man City, or you wonder what would happen if Pochettino had stayed there. Because many players come to this league and struggle first 6 months, 7 months. It's a tough league to adapt to. Not a tougher league in terms of this is the hardest league to play football, but it's different. So it takes time here. Yeah, because it's not just about the quickness of the game; it's the intensity with the way people play and all that sort of stuff. So, so it's not always the easiest to adjust to. And yeah, it's a shame. Going to Napoli, but he's only 27, 26.
Yeah, it's not 26.
Yeah, so he's still young enough, and I for one will be following him out there to see how he does.
Going into another player who's kind of fallen out of favour, Asensio, 26, not in Ancelotti's plans, only got 1 year left in his contract, been told he can leave, had 10 goals in 19 starts last season. Do you think that teams in the Premiership should be looking at him? Do you think that there's somewhere he should go, or do you think he should go to Italy or Spain? Looking at you, Harry, for this.
He's got talent. Mm-hmm. 10 goals in 19 starts is not bad. Mm-hmm. Not a bad return at all. Because I'm assuming that's probably not 19 starts in a row. So it's going to be start probably throughout the course of the year. No, he'd do a job. I think there's some teams crying out for a player that can play as a number 10, or if you're really desperate, as a borderline winger. Given the list of players that you read out for who Man United are interested in, I'm surprised he's not on that, and I wouldn't, and it wouldn't be a bad signing for them, to be honest. Some of the names you read out on there are actually laughable, and if Man United do pick any of them up, it's a bit of a strange one. Get him in. He's a money laundering scheme for Juventus. I think if Man United needs someone that's going to be a bit sort of put their head down and want to go past some players, which the players that they've got are all capable of doing it. It just seems no one wants to. No, I think Man United could do with him. Whether it just be another 10 that they've got in Eriksen and Fernandes already. I mean, you're probably just adding another one to the lineup, and he's not any worse than them.
Mm-hmm. So, Joe, just to say that I've got here Dele going to Besiktas. The Everton are willing to let him go. Besiktas are desperate to sign him. It's up to Dele Alli now whether he wants to go. That's what Everton have come out and said. How bad has he fallen? Do you go to Besiktas if you're him, or do you just stay at Everton and try to fight your way back into the team?
No, I think he's lost. I think he's a lost player.
Mm-hmm.
I think he goes Besiktas and tries to rediscover happiness at least, because I know he got quite a lot of stick, didn't he? From there was a thing on Sky Sports where he got a lot of stick for his underwhelming substitute Dele Alli and things like that. He's a human. I mean, I personally don't like him as much as I probably should do. Ex-Spurs, he did bits against Arsenal a couple of times, and yeah, I sort of want him. I feel like he should go out the Prem.
Is he the best player or the best young player under 25 that went from amazing to falling, losing it completely that you've seen? Because like we've seen players fall off in their late 20s, but to fall off in your early 20s after 3 or 4 amazing seasons, is he the best player you've seen to fall off this far?
The top of my head, I can't think of two. I can think of wonder kids that have not done it, but yeah, he was destined for a lot, wasn't he? Really was, and it's sad sight to see for a footballer, but you know he might be able to rediscover it and then come back, and someone might pick him up. You know, it only takes a year. Look what happened to Tammy Abraham, in Italy, and now he's sort of there. People are sort of saying he's 60 mil striker, and Arsenal should have gone in from instead of Jesus. I mean, I'm glad that didn't happen, but yeah, if Dele Alli can go and find some form out in Turkey, it might be a lesser league, but he might end up getting his confidence back. He's still got time ahead of him, hasn't he? But I think personally, instead of going to Everton, he should have gone to the MLS. Everyone's been doing stuff in the MLS, and I think it might have done him better. He's wasted 6 months at Everton? 6 months at Everton. Yeah, and it's why they wasted them. How much was it? 40 million. I know. No,
0. They haven't paid anything because he had to hit certain criteria.
That was it. That's
why it ended up being 0.
That's why they want to get rid of him.
Some dodginess going on there as well, because I feel like they didn't play him because of that. He's only made 1 star, yeah? That's ridiculous. He's made 1 star. Yeah, so come on now. Listen, you in a relegation battle with those guys getting injured, and the guy can only get 1 star. That's a bit fishy. It seems like after 10, you're like, maybe this guy is not it. You know what? I'm not gonna play him, so we don't have to pay the money. Yeah, I'm like, I remember it was the same thing. We had Bakayoko on loan at AC Milan. Yeah, and they sent him out games. They had to buy him. Yeah, and they literally just stopped playing the guy. So he wouldn't reach that quota. Yeah, the Dele Alli one. Yeah. And this one hurts me because as a before being a Chelsea fan, I'm a football fan first. Yeah. So I take an interest. I watch all sorts of games, whatever. And Dele Alli is 100% one of my favorite players to watch. And I followed his career and all that sort of stuff.
The player that Kai Havertz was supposed to be.
Me and Tim had it was before Kai Havertz, but anyway. But me and Tim have had loads of discussions about him. Mm-hmm. Like. People don't understand how shocking this, maybe because he came from MK Dons, so there's not that same Wilshere coming through the Arsenal academy, everybody the way he's known, whatever, but he achieved way more than Wilshere in my mind in terms of just reaching his potential. Wilshere for me was more flashes of what he could be and what he could. But then I was hitting 20 goals a season, 18 goals a season. Yeah, I mean, doing numbers that were, like Frank Lampard and Gerrard and all that sort of thing, whatever. So to end up where he's at, it has to be some sort of mental thing, because I just don't believe that anybody can get to 23, 24 and your career just nosedives and there's nothing you can do. Jose, the ultimate man motivator, comes in, he can't turn your career around. Pochettino tried before he left. Your guy, he signed you, brought you up from first division. He can't do anything. Lambs too is a player's guy. He loves players. He can't do anything. So I don't know, man. The whole thing is just very sad.
Yeah, it's crazy. So to say that, you know what I mean? This has been an amazing show, but we're gonna have to cut it there, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's been amazing having you, Harry. as usual, having my co-host Joe and Podfather. It's been amazing to have you both as well. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, guys. Harry, we're definitely going to have you on again when Watford get back up.
Cheers, Harry.
Just before you go, just name who's the wonder kid in the championship right now. Who's the player? Who's the guy that you think is next coming up?
I'm going to be biased. It's Jow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot about him. Newcastle are after him, aren't they? But,
they are.
Yeah, so obviously Arsenal are going to sign that player in the January window. But guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments down below. If you want to see Harry again, make sure you go to his Instagram. Just give up your Instagram if you got one, you know.
Yeah, just Hazrolls, HAZROWLS.
Yeah, and we'll be back here again next week. It's been the Football Pull-Up. Myself, King Jones, Joe, Podfather, Harry, and we're out. See you guys later.
See you later.
See you later.